The Warshaw Appreciation Week continues. This is both one of my favorite entries by Matt Warshaw in the Encyclopedia of Surfing and my least favorite stories in the history of surfing. And the surfer behind it is no other than Mark Foo. Welcome to the Wipeout Weekly, the daily podcast for beginners, wannabe surfers, and seasoned wipeout enthusiasts. No hype, no filler, just the highs, lows, and honest truth about learning to surf and finding your place in surf culture. I'm your host, Suze Wilson. Let's go out. Foo, Mark. High-profile big wave rider from North Shore of Oahu, Hawaii, whose 1994 death at Mavericks became surfing's biggest national and international news story. Foo was born, 1958, in Singapore, the son of a Chinese-American photojournalist who worked for the U.S. Foreign Service. He moved with his family to Honolulu at age 4, didn't learn to swim until 10, began surfing the following year, then moved to Rockville, Maryland. Foo later spent 2 years living with a friend in Pensacola, Florida, then reunited with his family in Honolulu. He moved to the North Shore in 1975, after graduating from high school, looking for a career as a professional surfer. Frustrated on the World Pro Tour, his best year rating was 66th in 1979. Foo diversified. He wrote articles for Surf Magazine, opened a North Shore bed and breakfast catering to surfers, and did voiceovers for surf movies and on-site announcing at surf contests. He hosted a surfing radio show, then teamed up with a fellow North Shore surfer journalist, Mike Latronic, to co-host a surfing cable television called H2O. Meanwhile, Foo's wave riding improved steadily. He tucked his compact 5'8", 135-pound frame into a low crouch and dissected the powerful Hawaiian surf with tidy, efficient lines. He also worked closely with the top surf photographers and became one of the sport's most visible figures. He made the cover of Surfer and Surfing magazines in 1978 and was often featured in surf movies including Fantasy from 1978, Follow the Sun, 1982, and Totally Committed, 1984. All of it contributed to what Foo, in his 4-color glossy stock resume, called a multifaceted professional profile. In the same resume, Foo immodestly referred to himself as surfing's consummate living legend. Intelligent, driven, and dependable, well-versed in the language of marketing, Foo became one of the first surfers to be sponsored by a non-surfing corporation, signing a modest deal with the Anheuser-Busch Brewery in mid-1981. If Foo was at times opportunistic, even crass, he also had a great appreciation of surfing's mystery, power, and beauty. How can you describe the feeling of looking into a 30-foot tube like a hole in the ocean? Foo rhetorically asked in a Surf magazine article. How do you convey the sight, sounds, and sensation that just a handful of humans, out of the billions of humans past, present, and future, will ever experience? What's it like to walk on the moon, Mr. Armstrong? Foo gained notice as a big wave rider on January 18, 1985, when he paddled into the teeth of a 50-foot Waimea closeout set, and shortly after, with hundreds of people on the beach looking on, tried to ride a 30-footer. He didn't make the wave, but wrote about the experience for the surf press, and would later memorably describe the waves he'd seen that day at Waimea as belonging to the unridden realm. A feud had meanwhile developed between Foo and Texas-born big wave rider Ken Bradshaw, and in 1988, the two were profiled in an Outside magazine feature titled The Divided Rulers of Waimea Bay. In that article, and in dozens of private and public conversations, Foo talked about the possibility of dying in big surf, telling one TV interviewer that it would be a glamorous way to go, a great way to go. I mean, that's how I'd like to go out. Foo also acknowledged that he was an unlikely big wave rider, as he was afraid of heights and speed, and didn't think of himself as athletically inclined. Foo was the first to ride a tri-fin surfboard at Waimea, and was the first to use a leash in big surf. In 1986, the Finnish runner-up to Clyde Aikau in the Quicksilver in memory of Eddie Aikau contest at Waimea, Foo visited Mavericks for the first time on December 23, 1994, flying over from Hawaii with rival-turned-friend Ken Bradshaw, and died after wiping out on a 15-foot wave. The evidence was inconclusive, but he was probably driven to the bottom where his leash or surfboard snagged on an outcrop of rock, and he drowned. Along with lengthy write-ups in the surf press, Foo's death was covered by the network news, MTV, the New York Times, who described him in a detailed obituary as the Joe Montana of big waves. The Los Angeles Times, Outside, Rolling Stone, Spin, and Paris Match magazines. Foo is the central character in the 2000 published Mavericks, the story of big wave surfing. He was engaged at the time of his death. See also Death and Surfing, Mavericks. And that's all for today. Check out the Wipe Weekly for our free newsletter, more stories and ways to connect with us. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow for more of the Wipe Weekly.